My name is Angelina, and at 33 years old, I was standing in the living room of the house I'd helped save 3 times. Once when my dad had back surgery and couldn't work for months. Once during CO when both my parents lost half their retirement in the market. And once last spring when the furnace went out just before a cold snap, and I wired the contractor the full cost before they even called to ask. That day I wasn't there to fix anything, just helping Dad scan some paperwork for their health insurance. It was something I did often. My dad, Gerald, never quite figured out the printer-scanner combo, even after 10 years. He always said I was good with tech, though I've worked in project management, not IT, for over a decade. He'd left a stack of documents on the dining table. I moved through them quickly. Medical records, some Medicare forms, a utility bill or two. Then I saw it. A cream-colored folder, thick, neatly labeled in my mom's handwriting. Estate plan. Final copy. I shouldn't have opened it. I know that. But I had just paid their property tax bill the week before. $2,178.41. And I was planning to swing by the pharmacy after this and pick up their blood pressure refills, like I always did. So yes, I opened it. Inside their will, notarized 2 months ago. Their house, fully paid off, their remaining retirement accounts, a life insurance policy. All of it to my brother, Mason Rivers, 29, no job, still living at home. He'd dropped out of college twice, spent a few years working on music, which mostly meant jamming in the garage and posting clips that never broke 200 views. My parents always said he just hadn't found his path yet. We love both of our children equally and trust them to care for one another. That was it. No mention of the taxes I'd paid. No line about the savings I'd transferred without being asked. Not even a thank you. Just a polite way of saying, you don't need anything, and we don't owe you anything. I didn't say anything at first, just stood there staring at the paper while the scanner hummed in the background. My hands were steady. My breath wasn't. If you have ever felt betrayed by the people who should have been your biggest supporters, let me know where you are watching from. My dad came back in with his coffee and said, "You getting through that stack, Danny?" I held the folder up. "Is this how it is, Dad?" I asked quietly. "Everything to Mason." He froze, coffee halfway to his lips. Then he sighed one of those long, exhausted sighs. That meant he already knew what I found. "It's not what you think." I didn't answer because it was exactly what I thought. I didn't press him. Not right away. Dad just stood there holding his coffee like it might explain something. Then he mumbled, "We figured you'd understand. You're doing well, Angelina. You've always done well." That's what they always said when they didn't want to explain. You've always done well. Translation: you don't get to want more. I left the folder on the table and stepped outside to breathe. The porch swing creaked a little when I sat down. I had replaced that swing myself 2 summers ago. Same week, the deck railing gave out, and I paid a contractor to fix it because Mason said he was between paychecks again. Back then I didn't mind. I was raised to take care of things, to step up. I grew up in the same house, shared a room with Mason until I was 13, when Dad finally finished the basement. I still remember the day we painted the walls blue together, Dad, Mason, and I. Mom brought us lemonade and said, "Look at our little team." Some team. I stayed in Nashville after college because Mom said she couldn't sleep when I was too far away. I turned down a job in Boston, even after they offered me more money and a faster track to leadership. I told myself family mattered more. They never asked me to sacrifice. They just never told me it wasn't required. There were the little things. Paying for their car insurance when they were short, buying them groceries when the SNAP renewal got delayed, calling the credit card company when the late fees hit. And the big things, wiring $11,000 from my savings to catch them up on the mortgage 4 years ago. I did it without question. I just wanted them to feel safe, secure, not worried. And now, after all of that, I was a footnote. I sat on that porch swing staring at the old oak tree across the yard. Mason carved his initials into it once, MR plus HH, for some girl from his second high school. I wonder if he ever helped pay for that tree to be trimmed. I wonder if he even knew it cost $800 last year after a storm nearly split it down the middle. Did they ever think about what I gave up? Not just the money, but the ease, the peace, the life I could have built somewhere else. Or did they just see me as the one who didn't need asking because I always showed up first? I didn't go back inside. The porch swing creaked once beneath me. then settled. I could still hear the hum of the scanner through the screen door. A few minutes later, Mom stepped out. She wore the same pale blue cardigan she always wore when she needed to say something heavy, the one from the Christmas I gave her a gift card and Mason gave her a burned CD. She said she loved both. She didn't sit at first, just stood there twisting the hem of her sleeve. "Angelina," she said, not too soft, not too sharp. I didn't look up. She sat beside me anyway. "We didn't mean for you to find out like that." I nodded once. I wasn't going to fill in the silence for her. She let out a breath, not quite a sigh, just a release. "It's not that we don't love you." Still, I said nothing. Because what do you call love that forgets your name when it's inconvenient? She reached over, resting her hand on mine. Her skin was warm, trembling slightly. "Mason's had a rougher time. You're steady, Danny. You always have been. Steady, strong, reliable." Words that feel kind until you realize they're cages. Labels that let people take from you without guilt. I pulled my hand back. "You could have told me," I said, my voice low, even. "You could have asked." She looked away, down toward the yard, and that's when she said it quietly, as if saying it softer made it lighter. "We had to co-sign for Mason. He needed the help." The word landed like a tap, not a blow. But I heard everything in the way she said it. They didn't just leave me out of the will. They'd already tied themselves to him with real numbers, real debt, real risk. "How much?" I asked. No answer. "Mom, how much?" Still nothing. Then quietly, 35. I stood up. The wind had picked up. The old wind chime over the porch clinked once, then fell still. I looked at her, not angry, just tired. "You didn't choose him because he needed it. You chose him because you already owed it to him." Her eyes widened, but I wasn't looking for a response. I just didn't know the price included forgetting me. I didn't text, I didn't call, I just stopped. That week, I canceled the auto deposit I'd set up for their utility bills. I deleted the calendar reminder to reorder their medications. I paused the grocery account that delivered every Thursday at 4. Nothing dramatic, no big declaration, just a quiet shift, an empty space where I used to be. I thought they might notice right away, but a week passed. Nothing. By the second week, I started getting the first messages. Dad's text came first. "Water bill came in higher this month. Can you check the account?" I didn't answer. Then Mom, "We're out of the low-sodium crackers you always bring." Mason forgot. I left it unread. They weren't concerned. Not yet. They just assumed I was busy, or moody, or tired from work. Maybe they thought I needed space. Maybe they thought I'd come back, like always. The third week, the tone changed. "Angelina," Mom wrote, "the mortgage is due. Can you send what you usually do?" She didn't say hello. Didn't ask how I was. Just a line, a number, a need. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "Ask Mason. It's his house now." I hit send. Didn't wait. 5 minutes later, she called. I let it ring. Another message. "Please don't be like this. We need to talk." But there was nothing left to talk about. They'd made their decision. I was just finally living like it mattered. That evening, Mason chimed in. "Danny, don't make this a big deal. Just help them like always." Like always. Like routine. Like reflex. Like I was never more than a reliable background noise. I wrote back, "You're the one they chose, Mason, so be the choice." He didn't reply. The next morning, I woke up to a transfer request from Mom, $3,200, exact amount of the overdue mortgage and penalties. No message, no note, just the number. I declined it. A minute later, the phone rang again. Then this. "We could lose the house if you don't help us." And finally from Dad, "You'd let your parents go homeless?" I almost laughed. They weren't homeless. They were just uncomfortable. For the first time, they were learning what I'd carried quietly without asking. I turned off my phone. They didn't lose me when they wrote me out of the will. They lost me when they assumed I'd keep giving. After that, a week of silence passed after I declined the transfer request. No calls, no texts. It was the quietest I'd known them to be in years. And somehow that felt louder than the begging. I started sleeping better, waking without checking my phone, cooking for myself and no one else. But silence never lasts in my family, not when there's blame to pass. The first sign was a voicemail from Aunt Lori. She rarely called me, always said she didn't want to get in the middle of family things. But that morning, her message said, "I'm not taking sides, honey, but your mom's worried sick. Maybe just talk to them." That's when I knew they'd started talking to other people. I checked Facebook. It didn't take long to find it. A photo of the front porch, a caption that read, "We gave everything to our children, but sometimes giving isn't enough." Dozens of likes, a few concerned comments, one from Mason. Some people think family is about money. They forget it's about showing up. I closed the app. Not angry, just hollow. They weren't just disappointed, they were rewriting the story, turning me from caretaker into villain because I'd stopped showing up to be used. The next afternoon, an envelope showed up at my apartment. Plain, no return address. Inside, a foreclosure notice, copy only. Not addressed to me, but I knew the house number. I sat with it for a moment, stared at the paper, then flipped it over and wrote on the back, "Maybe you should have left it to someone who could manage it." I didn't send it. Instead, I checked the county site. Their property was officially listed as at risk. Behind on payments, no buffer left. They'd burned through the savings, probably trying to keep up appearances, maybe hoping I'd cave before things got real. Mason had spent it all. All the money they left to him for security, for stability, for his future, gone. There was a time I would have stepped in, called the bank, negotiated a grace period, moved funds around. But now I poured myself a glass of water, sat at the kitchen table, and let the house fall without me. Sometimes you don't need to set the fire. You just have to stop carrying the water. It started small. A vague post from Mom with a sunflower emoji. A photo of her and Dad smiling on the porch. We raised them with love. We did our best, but sometimes love isn't enough. No names, no direct accusations, but I knew what it was. So did anyone who knew us. Aunt Trish commented, "You two are such amazing parents. You deserve better." Dad followed a day later. A longer post, less subtle. "We gave everything to our children. Time, money, love. We thought we raised them right, but in the end, you can't control who turns their back on you." He tagged me. No call, no message, just a post for everyone to see. I didn't respond. I watched it grow. Dozens of likes. Family, friends chiming in. Some I hadn't seen since high school. One wrote, "This generation just doesn't understand sacrifice." And then there was Mason. Of course there was Mason. He shared Dad's post with a caption of his own. "Some people only care when they're getting something. I'd give anything to protect Mom and Dad. I guess not everyone sees family that way." I read it twice, then once more. The same man who hadn't paid rent in years, who drained every dollar they had left, who watched the house fall apart, was painting himself as the hero. The comments were worse. "You're such a good son. Your sister should be ashamed. They gave her everything. She just wanted more." They didn't know the truth, but they didn't want it either. They wanted a story, and my family gave them one. I might have still said nothing, let the storm pass. But then I saw her name, Kelly, my cousin, the one who once told me, "You're the glue in this family." She liked the post, left a heart emoji, no comment, just that. It hit harder than I expected. Maybe because I thought she knew better. Maybe because I thought she saw me. I closed my laptop, sat in the dark, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something break. Not loud, not messy, just a quiet final click. They weren't just rewriting the story. They were erasing me from it. They came on a Thursday. I should have expected it. The texts hadn't worked. The money requests had been ignored. The guilt had gone stale, so they showed up. The front desk called at 10:42 a.m. "Ms. Rivers, your parents are here, and a man who says he's your brother. They're asking to come up. Said it's urgent." I stood in the hallway outside my office, staring at the floor tiles while she kept talking. I took a slow breath. "Please tell them I'm not available and that they're not expected." A pause. "They said they'll wait." I nodded, though no one could see it. Then let them. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "We're downstairs. Open the door." Another. "We're not leaving until we talk to you." I didn't rush. I finished the meeting I was in, answered 2 emails, then walked downstairs. They were by the building entry, standing too close together, like they'd rehearsed it. Dad stiffened upright like he was holding in a lecture. Mom clutched her purse in both hands, eyes scanning. Mason looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. They all turned when I stepped through the door. No one spoke right away. I stayed where I was, arms crossed, calm. "Angelina," Mom said, her voice already on edge. "We need to talk." I looked at her, then past her. The street was quiet. A delivery van rumbled by in the distance. I didn't answer. Dad cleared his throat. "You'd really let us lose the house over this?" I let the words sit. Then, "You really thought I wouldn't?" He opened his mouth, but I cut him off. "You left me out. You handed everything to Mason. Now you're here asking for the same support I gave for years, without question." No one responded. Mom stepped forward, voice softer now. We thought you'd understand. You've always been strong. I nodded. You used that as an excuse to forget me. Mason finally muttered something. I didn't catch it all. Something about not asking for any of this. But you took it, I said. He looked away. Dad's hands were on his hips now, impatient. We fed you, raised you. You owe us something. I almost laughed. I paid that debt every month, every year, and you erased me anyway. Mom's lip trembled. We didn't mean to hurt you. I took one step closer. Then why did you wait for me to disappear before realizing I was the one holding it all up? They said nothing. Mason reached for the door. I held up a hand. Don't. You're not coming up. You're not coming in. I won't be your answer this time. No yelling, no scene, just stillness. They stood there, 3 people who once called themselves my family. And I? I was done trying to be seen by people who only looked when they needed something. They didn't lose me when they changed the will. They lost me when they believed I'd never walk away. I didn't block their numbers. I didn't need to. The silence I gave them was louder than anything they could shout back. They texted for a while. Mom tried soft words. Dad went colder, blaming, demanding. Mason stayed mostly quiet. Just one last message. You think this makes you better? Walking away? I didn't answer. A few days later, I took a walk. No purpose, just movement. My path, without meaning to, curved past the neighborhood where I grew up. The old street looked the same. Cracked sidewalk, a half-painted fence. But the house? A for sale sign on the lawn. Faded shutters. Dying grass. I stood on the sidewalk and looked at it. The porch light was off. The swing I fixed was gone. So was the hanging wind chime. I didn't move closer. I didn't need to see inside to know what had collapsed. That house never kept me. I kept it, and now it was someone else's problem. As I turned to leave, my phone buzzed in my pocket. Once, then again. I didn't check it. I already knew the name that would be on the screen. I let it buzz, then stop, then buzz again. I pulled out the phone and looked. Missed call, Mom. Missed call, Dad. And then voicemail, new. I muted the phone, slipped it back into my coat pocket. No message needed. I already knew what it would say. I walked home in the cold, slow air of a late autumn afternoon. Not angry, not vindicated, just free. I was never their backup plan. They just liked pretending I'd never leave. If they once counted on your silence but forgot your name, just leave a heart icon. Some of us never raised our voice, but we never disappeared.